Hello everyone, thank you for coming to my presentation. I am Gerard Paligot, I come from Belgium, but I'm living at Lille. In France, I'm working as senior staff engineer at Decathlon Digital, and I am a Google developer expert in Android. But today I am very excited to be here because first, it is my first time at Devfest Belgium as speaker and attendee. But also, Vitamin is the first project built in intern at Decathlon and published in open source in like 2 years ago. Before we start, maybe quickly, how many people here already know Vitamin, maybe just by name? Okay, not a lot. And who already built a design system in their company? Okay, not a lot too. Well, in this presentation, you will learn how to build your design system in the design parts a little and in the technical part too. And you will see if you want to use Vitamin in your own application, because Vitamin has been developed as a white label project, so you can use it if you want. So what is Vitamin? Vitamin is a cross-platform design system. It means that it is available in multiple platforms. We have some implementation. The first one is Figma, so more dedicated to designers. And for this implementation, we have 3 variants, one for the web, one for the Android, and one for the iOS. Why? Because Vitamin is cross-platform, respects each of these platforms, it respects the design system of all of these platforms. So for example, Vitamin respects the material design guidelines for Android, and it respects 2 Apple design guidelines for the iOS version. So if I take a component like, I don't know, the navigation bar, which is available for Android and iOS, the component is present in Vitamin, but not the same visually for Android and iOS. And you have also some technical implementation. So the first one is NPM, so for the web. We have for Android and for iOS. And for all of this technical implementation, we have some variants. So for example, for Android, we have the first variant in XML, which is the old way to build user interface for Android, and compos, which is the new way to build user interface for Android. And in it is this last one we will make a focus in this presentation, because compos is the new way, the new hype way, and develop it in Kotlin. If you already build a design system, you probably know what is atomic design. For people who don't know, it is a principle to categorize all your elements inside your design system. So we have the first category named atomic, where you can find all atomic elements. So you have here all typography, colors, but you can have also, I don't know, radius, spacing, some resource useful for your components, etc. With atomic elements, you can build molecule elements. Here we have some examples. The first one is called the primary button in Vitamin, which is a surface with a color, and on this surface a text with some atomic properties like the text color, the text font, the text size, etc. And of course we can build some variants for any molecule we build in the design system. So just under the primary button, you have the secondary button, which is another color for the background and the text. There is an optional icon, or you can even build another type of button here, the icon button, which cannot take any text inside. But you can also, of course, build some other molecule elements, like here, the avatar. Next one is organism elements. So In the organism element, it is a combination of atomic and molecule elements to build some more complex elements. Because we have here, the first component is a pretty complex header you can find inside a user page with the name, the avatar, some button actions, the description, etc. At the bottom, you can find the material navigation bar, which is an organism element too, because we have multiple buttons on a surface with a color. Next one is templates. So with templates, we can create some complex structure at the screen level in general. So here we have the structure of a user page, and we have the final page here with in the pages or categories, which can be used in final application and reuse inside this application. And so you need to know that Vitamin provides atomic, molecule, and organism elements like a lot of design systems, and not template and pages, because these two categories are often very specific to an application. But there is some use case where you can build a template or a page inside your design system, like, I don't know, a login page, if you want to have the same visual of this experience across all your application in your company, for example. Okay, first shot of Vitamin. Let's see the compose architecture. So we have here the Gradle module inside the Android implementation with Jetpack Compose. And so you can find the first one, Foundation, which contain all typography, colors, shapes, some resources like font family, etc. And we have two other Gradle modules inside, assets and icons for all the iconography of Vitamin, and some assets useful like flags or payment icons, etc. After that, we have molecules elements with a lot of molecules elements, because it is the most useful and easy component to create inside a design system. And so you can see here we have some material design components and some new one. So for example, you have the progress bars, ships, snake bars, and switches, which come from material design. Because you need to know that Vitamin is not a competitor of material design. You need to see it more like an extension of material design. So for all components inside material design, we provide a default implementation with all semantics used in Vitamin. But we provide some variation too to improve the experience for the developer. And so, of course, we create some new one, like here the skeleton, but we have so much more, like tags or prices, etc. And finally, we have organism elements. So we don't have a lot of organism elements because it is very complex elements. And same thing, you can see some material design components here, like modals, tabs, and text inputs. And some new one, like the quantity picker, to pick a quantity of a product, or rating, which come from the Android ecosystem, but not in the material design guidelines. And finally, we have a last Gradle module called Vitamin, which is the final artifact you will use in your application to import the entire Vitamin design system in your application. So it imports all previous modules inside this one. Okay. Let's see the compose implementation. So you have here all the colors possible to use in a vitamin application with the color palette. So you have an object class called vitamin palette with all color inside and all variant for all color. So we have an example with the purple color and variants with which start with 50 and go to 800. And we have the same thing for the blue, for the yellow, the red, etc., of course. But these colors are not used directly in vitamin components or by our consumers, because if we want to create some new theme or just create a dark mode of our application, we need to create something other, and this is semantic colors. Semantic colors is an abstraction to colors to be able to switch the colors dynamically when you are using an application. So here we have an example of the light colors. We are using vitamin colors class to initialize all semantics of vitamin with a mapping between the palettes and the semantic. So here we have an example with the background, but we have the same thing with contents, borders, and decoratives, with the same variation. So you can see background primary, background secondary, tertiary, etc. And so in vitamin we have a default theme for the light and for the dark mode. Next one is font family. So Android use Roboto as the default font family in the system, and so we are using the same font in vitamin. We have two fonts, Roboto and Roboto Condensate, for some typography. And so these font family are used inside semantic typography, which is very similar to material design typography, because it starts with headline 1 to headline 6. We have subtitle 1, subtitle 2, etc. But we have some new one like text 3 and the bold version of text 1, 2, and 3. But the rest is the same as material design. And the final semantic is the shapes. So we start with 100 to 800, and you can use these shapes for any surface in your application and in components, vitamin components, if you want. Okay, now we need a mechanism to get an access of all these semantics inside the components provided by vitamin, but for the consumer of vitamin 2. And for that, there is a mechanism inside Jetpack Compose called local to be able to have an access to this local without to pass by parameters in our components. So we have 3 locals, one for the colors, one for the typography, and one for the shapes, of course. And we have an accessor of this local with an object class called vitamin theme. If you are an Android developer which are using material artifacts with Jetpack Compose, it is the same as material theme, which is an object class too. And so we have a property for the colors, for the typography, for the shapes. And so we are be able to call vitamin theme.colors.any semantic colors we want to access dynamically in our component. To initialize all these locals, we are using an internal component called provide vitamin resources, which take the colors, typography, and shapes. And we call composition local provider to initialize the local with the correct object. And we provide a default typography for when you are using a text in your application, which you are use the text 1 typography by default. And this internal component is used by a public component named vitamin theme to initialize the entire theme in your component tree. So it takes 2 parameters. The first one, dark theme, to know if it is in dark mode or not. and by default initialized by is system in dark theme, which listen the system to know if it is in dark mode or not. And the second one, content, is the component tree, where we want to use vitamin. And so we call provide vitamin resources, but we call also material theme. Why? Because vitamin is an extension of material design. So we provide the default mapping between vitamin semantics and material semantics. It means that when you are using vitamin, you can still use material component inside your component tree, and you will have the correct color, correct typography, correct shapes in your application. Okay. Let's see a vitamin implementation. We have here a product page with some components. We have the top app bar with some icons. We have a list of image for the product. We have a list of tags. We have a title, the rating, the price, and 2 action buttons to add in the basket and buy in 1 click. So how we implement this with vitamin? So first, we have the top app bar component with some parameters. We have 3 callback for icons inside the top app bar. We have a modifier, which is a concept from Jetpack Compose to decorate our components. And we have a property name isFavorite, which will have an impact on the Hertz icon button at the end of the top app bar, which will use the field version if the product is in favorite or not. So it will use the line version of the icon. Okay, first I'm using the primary variant of my top app bar. And we need to make a first pause because we need to know how to access to vitamin components. We have here an object class called vitamin top bars, but we have the exact same thing for other components like vitamin buttons, vitamin models, vitamin, etc. And inside this object class, we have all variants available in the design system. So we are using the primary version, which is the default version of the top app bar. It is the exact same name for all other components in the design system. But you can see we have another version of the top app bar, which is called search. This version includes a search bar inside the top app bar to be able to search something in general. But as we want to use the primary one, so we are using it, and we give the only required parameter, the title of the top app bar. Okay, we want to initialize the navigation icon to display the arrow at the start of the top app bar to come back to the previous screen in general. So we can imagine that this page is generally started by a list of products. And so to do that, we need to make another pause to know how to help developers when they are using vitamin. So we come back to the object class vitamin top bars. We have the primary version, and inside this component we have the parameter navigation icon to initialize, to configure the navigation icon at the start of the top app bar. And so the type of this parameter is a component tree, so with the annotation add composable, where you can write everything you want. So if you want to write your own icon button, you can, but you have also a scope to help you with some variants available directly inside vitamin, the design system vitamin. So we have here 4 variants you can use if you want to display the correct icon in the top app bar. So for example, we are using the context one, which is the arrow, and we initialize this component to display the arrow. And finally, we have the list of action we want to display at the end of the top-up bar, with first the share button and second the the favorite button, which is filled when it is in favorite and line version when it is not in favorite. Okay. Next one, product info. So this component will display the list of tags, the title, the rating, and the price. So to do that, we call first a colon to display all our components. And the first element inside this column is a flow row. Why? Because we want to go at the next line if it takes too much space according to the size of the screen. And so we iterate on the list of tags, and we are using the decorative gravel variant of the tag here. So it displays here Domios. Next component is the text for the title, so we initialize the style with the typography H4. And the last one is a row configured with a space between to have the rating, the read-only compact rating at the left and the accent price at the right. So we are configuring the compact one to display only 1 star, the rating and the number of comments attached to this product. And we are using the accent version of the price to display a yellow background in the price. And finally, we have the product actions components to display our buttons to add in the basket and buy in one click. So again, we have a column with first the conversion button for the add to the basket action, and second, the primary reversed version of the button to display the buy in one click. And so we just need to create here now our final product page. So we have first a scaffold. Scaffold is a material design component to structurize our screen, so we can configure the top bar, the bottom bar, the content, something, a drawer, what you want. So here we are using the top-up bar in the top bar parameter. And inside the content of the scaffold, first we are declaring a lazy colon to be able to scroll inside the screen. The first item is the horizontal badger for the pictures of the product. Sorry, for the picture of the product. We don't see it in this presentation because this component don't use any vitamin semantics. But if you are curious, the link of the demo is at the end of this presentation. Next item is the product info, and next one is product actions. And so we have here the screen developed with vitamin. For information, I developed this screen in like 30 minutes. Even if you don't want to use vitamin for any reason, I recommend you to build your own design system for your company, because generic design system like material design or Apple design system is too generic to build complex user interface. No, so don't hesitate to create your design system for your company to win some productivity when you develop new screen. I think I don't have any shot. Ah, yes, cool. Okay, 6 minutes. Last section, the tokenization. So what's next with vitamin? We come back to atomic design. I said that atomic element was the smallest part of a design system. It is not the case. We have something before atomic elements. We have ions, which are our tokens in a design system. So it is just a key and a value, but we are using this in our design system to describe everything of a component, you will see. So here we have an example with the colors of a button. So we have two categories of tokens. First one is the core, second one is semantics, and the last one is components. And so here we can see at the component level, we have the button medium primary with backgrounds, the tokens, and content tokens about the colors. And so we have some tokens inside with default overactive and text and icon. And we have a mapping from these tokens to semantic one and another mapping between semantics to core one. And with this mapping, we will be able to generate this kind of components. Because when we implement the component, we link the surface to a token and the text color to another token. And if we want to build another component, we just need to create other token at the component level with the same mapping, and we have another component. And if we want to create another theme, we just need to create another mapping between semantic and core and the core one. Why it is important to use token in the design system? Because we can do the same thing with the current approach based to semantics. Well, if we have token about everything, about spacing inside the component, about border radius, colors, typography, etc. And if we save this token inside a JSON file, for example, we can generate everything in our design system. And it is the case for our next version of Vitamin. If you check the source code, the README file of any technical implementation on GitHub, you will see this note at the top of the README file. It is not because Decathlon stopped to contribute on Vitamin. It is just because we are stopping the development on the current version, and we are building a new version based to tokens where we generate everything in the design system. Thank you to listen to me. Some reference. First, you can find all implementation, technical or not, with the Figma for all platform. You have my slide on my speaker deck and the demo on my GitHub project, on my GitHub profile, sorry. And you have two links which are real-life applications which are using Vitamin. The first one is Conference for All, which is a pet project of me, because I'm also JDG of Lille, and I'm an organizer of the Devfest Lille. And this conference uses Conference for All for their conference app. And I use Vitamin for the design system of this application. The next one, Decathlon Outdoor, is a Decathlon application available on the stores, on the Apple Store and the Play Store. And in the beta version of Android, you can download a version where they rework the entire application with Vitamin. So if you are curious, you can check the application on the Play Store. Thank you. I don't have any time for questions, but if you have some question, you can go here and I will respond to you. Thank you very much.